Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into how you can manage your time like a machine. And we're going to do it by looking at some of the surprisingly human problems that even the most powerful computers have to deal with. So, let me ask you a kind of weird question. What could a multi-million-dollar Mars rover possibly teach you about your to-do list? Well, it might sound strange, but the answer holds a secret to conquering your daily schedule. And it all starts with a story about a very famous and very stuck machine. Okay, so picture this. It's 1997. NASA's Pathfinder has just touched down on Mars, and it is a huge success. It starts beaming back these absolutely breathtaking, never-before-seen pictures of the Martian surface. Back on Earth, you can bet Mission Control is thrilled. But then, just a couple of days into the mission, the data stops. The rover is still running, it's keeping itself busy with all sorts of little minor tasks, but it's completely failing to do its one crucial job, sending those pictures home. I mean, in human terms, the Mars rover was basically procrastinating. So what happened? It turns out the problem wasn't with the hardware. It was a software glitch in its internal scheduler. And this, right here, is where the story of a spacecraft on another planet becomes incredibly relevant to how you plan your day. See, every computer has something called a scheduler. It's the little piece of the operating system that's constantly deciding which task gets the computer's attention and for how long. Sound familiar? It's pretty much the exact same job you do every single day with your own list of tasks. And here's the part that I think is kind of reassuring. Even these hyper-logical, super sophisticated machines can get totally overwhelmed and start spinning their wheels on all the wrong things. So by understanding how computer scientists solve these problems for machines, we can actually learn some brilliant new strategies for managing our own time and attention. All right, so our first big lesson comes from tackling a very, very common human trap: this endless quest to be perfectly organized. We have this idea that a perfectly sorted to-do list is the key to getting things done, but what if it's actually the exact opposite? Let me ask you this, and be honest. Have you ever opened your inbox, seen 100 new emails, and then spent the next half hour just sorting them and flagging them and putting them in folders before you've actually replied to a single one? Yeah, it feels productive, but it's a trap. So this gets at a huge difference in strategy. Our human instinct is to try and perfectly rank every single task from top to bottom. But back in 2003, engineers working on the Linux operating system realized this was a massive waste of time. Their solution was way simpler. They just tossed tasks into a few broad priority buckets, like high, medium, and low. And then they just got started. And there's a really good reason for this. It's because of something computer scientists call a quadratic cost. Now that sounds fancy, but it's a simple and kind of brutal truth. The time it takes you to perfectly sort a list doesn't just double when the list gets twice as long. No, it grows exponentially. I mean, think about it like this. If your inbox is 3 times fuller today than it was yesterday, perfectly organizing it doesn't take 3 times as long. It can actually take 9 times longer. The effort just explodes. It's proof that chasing a perfect plan is often the biggest enemy of actually getting anything done. Let's just let that sink in for a second. The big takeaway here is so powerful. You have to stop trying to find the absolute #1 most important thing to do next. Just pick something from the important bucket and go. Progress is so much better than perfect planning. Okay, so if over-planning is one big productivity trap, what's the other huge productivity killer of our modern lives? Oh yeah, it's the constant nonstop interruptions. Every single time a notification pops up and you glance over to check it, your brain has to do something computer scientists call a context switch. It means you have to save your place in your deep work, load up all the new info from that text or email, deal with it, and then try to reload everything you were just thinking about. Each one of those switches costs you real mental energy and focus. So how do machines deal with this constant barrage? Well, they use this really clever strategy called interrupt coalescing. Instead of stopping everything for every tiny little new piece of info, like a single key press, the system groups all those little interruptions together and then deals with them all at once in one efficient batch. And guess what? We can use this exact same logic in our own lives. The steps are pretty simple. First, let the notifications and emails come in. Second, and this is the most important part, collect them without reacting. Just turn off the alerts. Third, schedule a specific time, maybe every hour or two, to process all of them at once. And fourth, you get to return to your deep, focused work totally uninterrupted. And this isn't just some theory, it really works.
Back in 2013, engineers used this exact principle to make a massive improvement in the battery life of our phones and laptops. By having the processor handle interruptions in batches, it could spend way more time in a low-power sleep mode. Now just imagine for a second what that same strategy could do for conserving your mental energy.
So how do we put all this together and actually use it? Well, it all comes down to a simple machine-inspired toolkit. Here are 3 rules you can use to start reclaiming your focus, like today. First up, stop over-planning. Just remember that quadratic cost we talked about and get started. Second, embrace good enough. Use those broad priority buckets instead of trying to create a perfectly detailed list. And third, batch your interruptions. Set aside specific times to handle all your messages at once, instead of letting them run your day. And this really is the most important takeaway from this whole explainer. The point of all this isn't to turn you into some cold, unfeeling robot. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about using the cold, hard logic of machines to protect and reclaim something that is deeply, wonderfully human. Our ability to focus, to create, and to just feel a sense of calm and control over our own lives. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember the lessons from the machine and ask yourself the one question that really, truly matters. Are you running your day, or is your day running you? Thanks for watching.